The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Well, Mr Speaker, it's hard to tell who's a bigger stranger to the truth, that minister or the one who spoke before her. Mr Speaker...
Point of order, Chris Tremaine.
Comments that the former minister just made are unacceptable under the Speaker's rulings in this House and standing orders. I'd ask him to withdraw and apologise.
Order. Well, I'll hear the member briefly.
Well, Mr Speaker, in her concluding comments, we had a clear...
The member is now trying to, under a point of order, argue the case. The issue is whether the language should be allowed or not. And I think I've got to support the intervention of Chris Tremaine that is tantamount to saying a member is a liar, and that is totally outside the standing orders. The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, the final comments...
Point of order, the Honourable Anne Tolley.
I seek leave to table, and I know you don't like press releases, Mr Speaker.
No, we're not going to order.
No. 1998. That quotes the Labour education spokesman Trevor Mallard from the Evening Post, saying that a national system of benchmark testing was needed so that principals and teachers could significantly raise standards.
That's sufficient. We've heard about the Leavers sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
And as the member knows, we introduced the Astle system. We spent tens of millions of dollars on it, and it's been wasted because she has wrecked it. She has not continued to fund it. And, sir, she has run away from having a decent system at all. Mr Speaker, I also want to say to the member for Clutha Southland, before I finish with that, Minister, I'll make one final comment. We're facing an uphill battle in the election. We don't know what the result will be, but the one thing that we do know is that after the election, when there is a new cabinet, Anne Tolley will not be the Minister of Education. Everyone in this House knows that she is for the high jump in that job because she is basically incompetent. Basically incompetent. I want to now turn to the misleading statements made by Bill English in this House before. He said the Labor Party billboards don't say party vote Labor. Well, they do. They absolutely do. I probably have 70 up on my electorate which say exactly that. Party vote Labor. The member needs to get his facts right. I think there are 3 or 4 that Paul Quinn has up. He was apparently crying because he had to take them down. He had to take a few down. He took 3 or 4 down. It took a week to put 3 up early, and then 2 days to take them down again. And he's crying because he's only got 3 or 4 of them back up again, and they're in bad spots. But just ask Paul Quinn what the Labor Party billboards say. They say party vote Labor. And, Mr Speaker, they also say for reasons. They say no asset sales. Party vote Labor. They say $15 an hour. Party vote Labor. They say no GST on fruit and veggies. Party vote Labor. And they say something else which hasn't yet been announced and is not up yet, and then party vote Labor. Mr Speaker, the member Bill English, I think, needs to reflect on the fact about national standards in reading, have a look at a reading manual, get someone to read the billboards to him, and he will see at the bottom of the party vote billboards it says party vote Labor. Mr Speaker, I don't know what else. Well, maybe that explains it. Maybe that Bill English was claiming that the debt was down. Mr Speaker, there is $37 billion more net debt under National. $37 billion more net debt under National. And in fact, if we'd done this graph at another time, Mr Speaker, we could have got the red into negative. But, sir, we thought we'd do a fair comparison. Mr Speaker, let's then look at jobs. We had We had the Prime Minister claiming miracles in the job states. Mr Speaker, I think the Prime Minister doesn't know the difference between a job queue and a job. He doesn't understand that when you have nearly 900 people lining up for 45 full-time and a few part-time jobs in Kaiapoi, of all places, 900 people in Kaiapoi lining up for 45 full-time and a few part-time jobs. It's the 45 that counts and not the 900. I think the Prime Minister does not understand the difference between applying for a job and getting a job. We've seen his abysmal misunderstanding, and I'll put it that way, Mr Speaker, because if he did it deliberately it would be a breach of Parliament, and I wouldn't allege that. Therefore he must be incompetent and misunderstanding, and the Prime Minister, sir, is someone who should face up to the fact he has no plan, he's muddling, and the economy is failing as a result.
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
That speech just shows where Labor